Hi guys, welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 6, Compare Proportional Relationships. Okay, so this one is very closely related to the last lesson in that the best thing for us to do is to use the unit rate, because remember the slope is the unit rate. So let's see here. Being that we already learned how to use the slope, we're just going to go straight into examples to help us use the information that we're given. So number one is number one on your practice. We're given two different pieces of information. One of them is in a chart, the other is in a graph. So these are earnings per hour. So same here, earnings per hour, okay? And so in this case, right, it looks like it's about $10 for every hour that this person is working, right? If they worked 2 hours, they got $20, 3 hours, $30, and so on. So the question is, what is the equation that represents the proportional relationship between the earnings and hours for employee 1 and employee 2? So there's two answers that you need to give for this one. You need to give the equation for employee 1 and the equation for employee 2. Now, so with that, really what we're looking for the unit rate, because when we find the unit rate, that can tell us what our slope is, okay? So for this one, I already said it pretty much, right? It was $10 for every 1 hour. So in this case, the slope is 10. Over here, and actually we'll write M for slope. Over here, the one, excuse me, the one lines up with the 15, right? So what that tells us is it's $15 for 1 hour, or the slope is 15, okay? So when it comes to the equation, we didn't look at equations like this yesterday, but we did in previous lessons. Remember, the equation that we're setting up is always y equals m, or the slope, times x. Well, in this case for employee 1, that would be 10. So we would say y equals, and then you need to enter 10x. For this second one, for employee 2, it was 15, so we would say 15x. And if we think about it in terms of like the graph, right, if we're multiplying 15 by the number of hours, or the x value, we're getting our y value, okay? Like 1 hour gets us 15, 2 hours would get us to 30, and so on, okay? So this right here, this is your answer. All right, number 2, which is also number 4 on your practice. Again, we're given two different pieces of information. We're given a graph about player 1, which it looks like it's the average number of points per game. Okay, 3, let's see, it doesn't line up perfectly. That one's a little harder to use. 5 lines up nicely, right, with that 150. So we could say 150 points for 5 games, right? It's our y value, the change in the y value over the x. Okay, well 150 divided by 5 is 30, so it'd be 30 points per game. Okay, and oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even say the question. The final question is, which player has the highest average points per game? So that's what I just did for this one. I figured out how many points per game does player 1 have. Player 2, well, so this would be our slope over here, right? Well, in equation form, that's this number here. So this would be 35 points per game. So, and I forget how they have you answer this, but it would be player 2 is your final answer, okay? And our final question is number 4 on your quick check. So we're given information about two different readers, and the final question is, which student reads faster and by how much? Okay, so we need to figure out how many pages are they reading per hour? Pages per hour, okay? So with this one, it's pretty obvious right here, like for 1 hour, is 10 pages, and that holds true on the other ones. 2 hours, about 20 pages, and so on. So for reader number 1, we've got 10 pages per hour. Over here for reader 2, we're not given the value for 1. So we can use that method, though, of taking our y value, right? We've got 30 pages in 2 hours, so taking our y value and dividing it by the x value, okay? And in an input-output table, it's always x comes first and then y, and so that holds true as well. So 30 divided by 2 is 15. So reader 2 reads 15 pages per hour. So in this case, it says, which student reads faster? Well, that's reader 2. And by how much? Well, 15 pages versus 10. So it would be by 5 pages per hour. Okay? So, and this is a great concept to know and understand, because it doesn't matter what career you're doing someday, or you know what you're doing in life. You're going to be shown graphs, and you're going to be given statistics and different information like this, and whether it's watching the news or maybe in your career. And so to be able to understand data like this is a good skill to have. Okay? As always, let me know if you need extra support, and have an awesome day.